Is it plugged in? Yeah, it's plugged in. All right. Combo Nation, what is up, everybody? This is Grown B. Today I have Batman 123 Rock. We have a duo podcast today. Later on, we're going to be recording another, not later on tonight, later on this week, we're going to be recording another WandaVision episode. But for now, we are continuing with our revisiting the Arrowverse series, and now we are going to be jumping into Black Lightning season two. To Black Lightning, the thing about Black Lightning, and I think this is part of what makes it so good. Me and Batman have been talking for the last couple of days that it's one of the few shows, really in the Arrowverse, but really in television, entirely. This one of the few shows that have three really good seasons. Most shows have two really good seasons, and then most of them are average, and then they have one or two bad seasons that are thrown in. Black Lightning so far has had three really good seasons, and I think the reason behind that is they have a formula where each season really kind of blends into the next. So it's really just one big story. It's not them
Yeah,
trying to come up with a whole new big arc with a beginning, middle, and end in every single season, right? And so, for continuity's sake, I think that them kind of continuing a story and building up on that story every single season is what helps it maintain that spice, that flavor, and that level of excuse me interest inside of the different people. I mean, the different audience members. Uh, the unfortunate thing about that is when you come try to do a series like this, and now we're talking about season two, everything feels and seems to kind of blend together. So it's tough for us to kind of decipher, oh, did this happen in season one or did this happen in season two? Or, oh, wait, we're talking about this, but this actually happened in season one and we should have talked about it a week ago. All that different type of stuff. So bear with us as we kind of make sure that we kind of get our ducks in a row with everything. But Batman, I will let you start off, just letting everybody know what you thought about just the season in general, just an overall, um, I guess, rating of the season, or just how you felt when you were watching it. We can save the
So,
rating. We can save the rating for the end. You could just say how you felt when you were watching it.
the first episode was kind of sorry, pardon me. The first episode was basically kind of like a follow-up from the events of the season finale of the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of seeing where the characters are. Um, and honestly, they already set up a lot of stuff, so they don't have to like spend time telling the story and setting it up. They just kind of jump into the action and
Exactly. That's another
yeah.
thing that makes it really easy to follow. And it seems like they're packing in so much information and stuff with these 13, 14, 15 episodes. But really, it's like when they're continuing the story, they don't have to rush to try to set everything up. A lot of the things that they're working with have already been set up.
For sure, man, for sure.
Let's see. I think the one of the biggest things that this season focuses on is green light becoming more available to people all over the city, and young youth. Well, not young youth. Just the young men and women of the city. And so now the heroes in the form of Black Lightning and Thunder and what's her name going by? I think at that time she wasn't even out in the field. They were trying really hard to just keep her in the house, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. She wasn't really out in the field. She doesn't even get a suit to the end of the season,
Oh,
does she?
okay. That's what I
I don't think she
thought.
does.
I don't remember
Yeah,
really seeing her being active.
that's
Uh,
right. Because when we left off on season one, she had just like used her powers in front of everybody to kind of
mm-hmm.
help them get out of the situation with
So I think one of the kind of shocking moments that kind of drags you in is one of the young black teens that had died previously suddenly is alive.
Issa,
And
right?
yeah, is alive, and he is just, I mean, just walking around the city.
Hmm.
And he has this interesting power where I guess he has a way of forcing people to reveal their true emotions and nature around him,
Hmm.
right? So he like goes around his mom, and his mom is like, "Oh my goodness, why is my like saying crazy stuff?" Like, okay,
Hmm.
so basically, he's able to like tap into their thoughts, but compulse them to say whatever it is out loud. So like when she's saying, "Oh son, I love you" with her mouth, in her mind when she goes to say, "Oh, I can't believe this is happening to my son. He looks terrible." She'd end up saying that out
Mm.
loud. Right? So
Yeah.
that was basically his power. He like you couldn't lie in front of him. You know, you had to be truthful,
Yeah.
you had to be 100% honest around him.
Yeah.
And so I think just one of the biggest moments is he uses that ability to force her to say that like she doesn't see him as her son anymore. Like she's basically glad that he passed away. Um, so I mean, she basically rejects him. She rejects him because
Yeah.
she knows that basically he was getting involved with Greenlight and all these other things, and it was
Mm.
just it was a really it was that was probably one of the I'd say that they didn't build it into the emotional moment that it could have been, and maybe that was just because of the performances of the actors. Maybe with better performances, that would have been more captivating. But I mean, thinking back on it now, as we just kind of break it down, that was a terribly sad moment, you know?
Yeah. They're also when he's in the uh in the facility because she said that he's dying in the green light.
Mm-hmm.
And his sister shows up and she's really sad and worried uh and then she just breaks out like, "Oh no, I don't want anything to do with you," and
Mm-hmm.
just storms out. And the viewers just kind of like she just pulled a whole 180 like his mom. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Yeah.
Because we don't know that he could do that at the time. They hadn't made that obvious. Um, and the powers come in handy later in the episode when she brings Issa uh, home, and he has dinner with the Jeffersons. He starts looking at everyone. Everyone's like, you know what,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, you know
Yeah.
what.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just yell at each other, and they're just like, wait, whoa, what's
Getting everything
happening?
out on the table.
Yeah,
That yeah.
all at once.
That's just a honestly that is I mean some people might see that as lazy writing. I see that as clever writing to
Hmm.
introduce, an element to kind of get things out on the table. Because we
Mm.
know how this family we know this family is broken. We know this family is tearing apart at the seams. They're not going to
Mm.
do stuff that can further destroy that, right? So they really kind
Yeah.
of they really bottle a lot of stuff up. They really keep
Mm.
a lot of things in. And so to introduce a plot device like that, because it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense for those people to just blow up on each other in that way, even in the height of their anger and fury. It just doesn't make sense. However, when you have this compulsion based on this metahuman, that literally changes everything. And so I really really honestly, like, just looking back on it, I didn't appreciate it. There's a lot of things that I didn't appreciate as I watched it, but I appreciate it
Yeah.
now more, just kind of looking back and seeing how it helped develop certain relationships between those characters and kind of move them forward in their stories. Um,
Yeah, for sure, man.
I think the biggest thing, and I think probably the excuse me, the most exciting thing, not the most exciting thing, But one of the things that's just different, that really kind of drives this story for me is Anissa's kind of rise to becoming Blackbird.
Blackbird, yeah.
Yeah, Blackbird is a character that is just more of a vigilante,
Hmm.
and it's a callback to a joke that her sister used to always make about her, which is that she's Harriet Tubman,
Yeah.
right? And Harriet Tubman, as you know, is just a historical character that that fought behind the scenes, that was just kind of fought in mystery, and, and took matters into her own hands. Was very organized, and basically was able to help slaves escape from their slave masters, right?
Yeah.
And all of that is really a callback because that's basically what she begins doing. She begins taking she takes upon a little bit of Harriet Tubman and a little bit of like a Robin Hood, because
Hmm.
basically what she starts doing is going around and stealing from drug dealers and criminals, right? And then she was taking that money and she was going back to like churches, people who needed it, but people who really needed it in the city. And it sets up this dynamic where you can see, like, yeah, she's not necessarily doing things the right way, but she's getting so much more accomplished than really Jefferson is as Black Lightning, while trying to do everything the perfectly right way.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
And so I definitely think that her doing what she's doing is definitely one of my favorite aspects of the season. Um, and
Um,
go ahead.
no, you're good. Trying to think. One of the other things I wanted to touch on with Issa is they find out Jennifer after the whole fight. She's like, "Hey, come upstairs," and then they go out on the roof. They start smoking, and then what's it called? Uh, she tells him, "Look away and try to see what I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
or make me be honest."
Yeah.
And they find out that if he's not looking at somebody, then he can't make them be honest. So they kind of
Mm.
find a loophole to it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that actually. Let's see.
And then this is a big start for Tobias. The start of the season because Kara, I think it was Cyanide, goes to collect Kara, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then she fights her and she brutally kills her with her heel
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
kills Cyanide. And as you know, uh, Tobias kind of saw Cyanide as like a daughter, a little
Yeah.
bit, kind of.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So honestly, that obviously that really hurt, because he's like Cyanide is the only person I really gave a damn about. And
Mm-hmm.
then she shows up and tries to get the briefcase, the one he got from season one, and he shoots. I think she's like a spear kind of thing,
Yeah. I
harpoon.
think yeah, harpoon.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then she jumps out the window and she goes to Gamby because he knows because they were both spotters, so
Yes.
they kind of are on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to touch on. Oh, um, what's his name? Henderson tells Jeff that he knows he's Black Lightning in this season, I think.
Yes, that's
Um,
right.
and if I'm not mistaken, and honestly, I don't understand why they do this in almost every TV show. But if the best friend doesn't know that the superhero is the hero, when he finds out that the superhero is the hero, he always is mad. Like he always has some type of weird attitude about it, or he's always they are never empathetic to what reasons would my friend not want to not want to just tell me what he's doing as a vigilante or a hero.
Yeah.
Especially since he was the I'm not sure if he was the police captain or he was the police captain, right? Not Jefferson, but Henderson.
Wasn't he the chief?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because in season one they take down the guy because he was a corrupt cop.
Okay, yes, yes.
Yeah. Because he
And
was
so
working with the other guy.
that sets up some strong moments later on in the season for sure.
Mm.
But he is he is very I honestly I think he was more frustrated with Jefferson Pierce than I think any other character has been with a hero who is otherwise a friend. Like
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen anyone else be as upset as upset as he was.
I
And
think.
go ahead.
Sorry. Um, I think it's because they're kind of like brothers.
Yeah.
They've known each other for a long time, and he feels like this is something
Yes.
he should have shared with him.
Yes.
He's like, oh my
Regardless, like I
buddy, you
get it.
should have
Yeah.
told me.
Yes. I definitely agree with that. It's like, listen, man, I understand I'm the police chief. I understand you have these different things going on with you and you're trying to protect the people you love and protect your family. But I'm your best friend, dude.
Hmm.
I'm your best friend. I've been here for you forever, you know? And in the moments where, I think even in the earlier days, they were trying to take out Black Lightning, you never thought to come to me and say, hey, I'm Black Lightning,
Hmm.
don't take me out. Right. And so I definitely feel like and when you look at it that way, I agree with them. You know,
Hmm.
I agree with them. There's very few reasons to really keep that type of information from your close friend, especially when you have that type of relationship with them. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Trying to think. Trying to think. No, 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 no. That's season one. I'm thinking of something from season one. See? Now I'm going backwards.
Everything kind of just blends together, man. Let's
Was it
see.
from season one? The scene where they arrest him in the school
They arrest who?
because they wanna take Black Lightning because they know it's Black Lightning. They arrest Jefferson. They arrest him.
Um,
No, 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 no. Wait, hang on. That is season. That is season. That is season two.
is
That
it?
is. That's just a little bit further. Yeah. I believe it is.
Hmm.
I think it is. God dang it, man.
So much was going on in that season, man.
Yeah, it's true, man.
Let me bring up some other notes real quick.
I gotcha.
So I think one of the other big moments, and it goes back to what we talked about the other week,
Hmm.
that Jefferson has always felt like, he has always felt like he could do much more, as the principal of Garfield High. I think he says that verbatim. He says, "I've done more for Garfield High. I mean, I've done more for Freeland as the principal of Garfield High than I ever did as Black Lightning." Right. So when he
Yeah.
loses that position,
Mm.
following the situation with the invasion of the school, they bring
Yeah.
in a new principal, and he has. And to be honest, I never felt like I. Did you ever feel like the new principal um, was
Wait,
ever?
they gave him an ultimatum, actually. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, no, no. What was the
I
ultimatum?
just So the ultimatum was either you step down as principal or we shut down the school.
Oh, okay. So he's still okay. That makes sense. It makes more
And
sense that he
he
would step down in that instance.
and he's like, you know what? Be there right. I
Yeah.
wasn't there for you guys,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I gotta take accountability for that.
And so, but all in all, like even when I was watching this, like yeah, that principal was far more strict, right?
Mm,
Um, he had a much more of like a tough love, and no nonsense approach to dealing with the children, right? Um,
yeah,
but I never felt like he was wrong. Like, I did have a little bit of an issue because he didn't have a real understanding of what these kids have been through, right? And I think you do have to understand what they've been through, how that affects who they are, how it affects the decisions that they make, and that's how you can work with them to not just punish them, but get them to have an understanding of their decisions and how those decisions like affect themselves and the world around them, right? I think one of the big moments that we see in that dynamic was a fight, right? A fight broke out, and Jefferson Pierce ends up like breaking up the fight. Well, the new
yeah.
principal, who I can't even remember his name for some reason at this point.
Mike Lowry.
Yeah, Lowry. He basically breaks up the fight, and I think one of the students, he asks who starts the fight. I think he asked other people around who started the fight. The one who started the fight got suspended, and the other one got
Expelled.
he got
Or got
expelled.
not expelled. I can't remember.
I
I think
can't
they both
remember.
got suspended, didn't they?
I think one of them definitely got like a more harsh punishment than the other.
Yeah.
Um, but it was basically something that Jefferson really was not in favor of. Like he hated that approach. And basically, the new principal says, "Look, this is how it's gonna be. This is how I'm running this school. And if you don't like it and you can't get in line with it, you got to go." And you could see that power struggle. Um,
Mm,
you could see that power struggle. He's basically like, and at that moment, he at that moment he basically vows that he will find a way to basic. Oh no, you were right. You were right. One of the students got expelled, and the other one was just suspended. And
mm.
so it was just like that. I think that was just truly the last straw, um, for Jefferson, and he no longer was like, I can no longer sit quietly with this. This is just way, way, way too much.
That was
Uh,
one of the last straws.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that this one was technically the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. And
That's the kind of phrasing that they use. What were you gonna say? Second one, what?
the second one is okay. We're gonna have to dial it back because we'd be skipping over something very significant.
Okay,
We'll get to
yeah,
that.
that's fine.
Um, uh, but you said that Mike Lowry doesn't understand. Um, but remember, him and Jefferson get into an argument. He's like, "Look, I've been through what these kids have been through. I've been through worse. I was homeless. I was rejected or something like that." He said he's gone through a lot, and he just doesn't want that for the kids. He wants them to have a better life or something like that. And he's like, you think just because I'm white that I can't have it rough? You think that I'm so much better, like,
Mm-hmm.
than you guys? And then Jefferson's like, really, man?
Yeah,
But he kind of understands. He like kind of hears him out. Um, but I don't know. I see what you mean.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because especially in season three, even though this is season three, like he does care about his students. He
Yes,
cares. He doesn't want anything to
absolutely.
happen to them. But yeah, he is really tough on them because he puts the metal detectors in. Jefferson's like, really? You're treating them like criminals? He's like, no, I'm trying to keep them safe.
Exactly. There's one big thing that we definitely need to talk about, which was the fact that they had Tobias Well in custody. They had Tobias Well in
Mm.
custody, and they were basically trying to. I think the way all this happened was that uh, Jefferson pressured Henderson to make the arrest. I think that was actually probably last season, um, or maybe earlier within the first few episodes of this season. Whatever. Um, they have him in custody, and unfortunately, they just didn't. He when you have a criminal organization where you have money and going into lawyers and police officers' pockets, it's hard to make evidence. First of all, it's hard to make anything stick, right? And then even when you have evidence, it's hard to keep that evidence in play. And
Yeah,
basically, what's his name? Tobias had pulled some strings on the back end, and all the evidence that they had against,
yeah, no, no, no.
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember because the cop, he's like, "Hey, man, how's the wife and kids?" He's like, "Yeah, they're doing good." He's like, "That's good, that's good." And he hands him over the evidence. He's like, "So, maybe you could go on that vacation." And they start laughing, and just bam, just kills him. And
mm-hmm,
you see the next episode that the car was lit on freaking fire,
yep,
and then you're just like, he was just cleaning it up,
yeah,
And the evidence was, I think it was the newspapers he used
oh
to
yeah,
kill Alvin Pierce. And then,
yes, mm-hmm,
um, sorry, this is going a little bit more into detail, but uh, at this point in the season, I think it's a little bit towards the beginning still, but him and Khalil, they're at odds with each other, and he's like, he doesn't know if he trusts him, but he kind of wants to. He
mm-hmm,
wants to get him like tougher, and he puts his hand over the fire. He's like, hold the newspaper over the fire, and then he drops it. He's like, I didn't tell you to drop it.
mm,
He
yeah,
basically tells him to burn all the evidence,
yeah,
and that's how they're like, oh, we lost our evidence because the evidence guy was corrupt or something like that. It's just it goes to show you, you know, he has resources to get himself out of situations like that.
yes. At that point, did he put that mind trick on Khalil? Um, I know he had that mind trick on Lala where he could say a command and fully control him. For some reason, I feel like he had something like that also on Khalil.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I mean,
it was
he used fear.
just
He
fear,
instilled fear into
intimidation.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
intimidation,
Okay.
threats, and stuff like that. Um, but when he gets when he gets out, he's like, man, you know what? I was falsely accused, and I got nothing against them. But in the department, he just makes the department look like a bunch of jerks,
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
fools, and obviously it upsets Henderson because he's like, man, great. And that's another thing we got to deal with,
So, what do you think about the dynamic? I never, to be honest, I never really liked this. Well, it's not that I didn't like it, but I honestly didn't think it added anything to the show. And it's the relationship between Anissa and Jen. No, 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 I'm not. Yeah, that's her girlfriend's name, right?
Jen is her sister, bro.
What's her girlfriend's name?
Grace.
Grace. Thank you. Goodness gracious.
Oh man.
But did what did you think about
So
that? Did you think that that really added anything to the?
I think so. I think so because the start of the season, she's dating that the guitarist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the singer, and
Yeah.
Grace just giving her shade. She's like, "All right, well, screw you." So
Yeah.
she's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, like, we haven't talked. Like, I didn't think, like, we weren't official. I don't know why you're getting upset, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of, pursue it a little more. And then, I liked it because it also brought a new thing because they have something in common. They're both metahumans.
Yeah, and you know what? I
She
think
doesn't find out she's a metahuman this season,
she doesn't find
though.
out in season
That's
two, but we know.
we know that.
Yeah,
No, 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 no. Grace doesn't find out that Anissa is a metahuman. I don't think
but
because
we know that Grace is a metahuman, right?
yes, because um, was it Thunder shows up and she meets the old guy, and then you find out that the old guy was Grace. She's a shapeshifter.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and it provides a new element to her character. She's not just like, oh, she's the love interest. She actually has, you know, um, character development.
Yeah,
She's trying to
definitely.
get through
You know, I
this,
agree with that. I do
and
agree with that.
also, at this point in the season, weren't they like picking up people who were metahumans?
Yes, and I think you know what? You're
Yeah.
totally right about that, dude. That relationship and the fact that they are metahumans and she doesn't understand her powers fully, like and Anissa is trying to both like show how much she cares and loves this woman, but it also
Hmm.
gives her extra motivation to be like, we have to make sure that and this is just a good person. She's gonna go out and she's gonna want to save people regardless, right?
Right.
But the fact that the woman that she's in love with is also a metahuman and also is in jeopardy of being, because they're doing the metahuman trafficking at this point, and so that just adds another layer, another motivation for her to do almost like a Malcolm X type by any means necessary. I'm not going to go perfectly within the rules because people that I care about are at stake.
Yeah, and then this is also the season where we meet a very important. I'd say he's kind of a villain, kind of a villain, kind of not. You know who I'm talking about, right? Um, Odell. He comes into the
Oh,
season because
man,
he's at the
Odell's a
beginning.
flat out villain to me. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, he's a villain, but he was trying to stop. You know what? That's season three. We're not getting into that. Anyway, so at the beginning of the season, Lynn wants to work with the Pod Kids, and
Yeah.
Odell's like, "You're not gonna do that." So Gamby finds a way to get her to do that, and he's like, you think you're cool, huh?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, all right, we'll see. Kind of just mean. He's
He is a really tough. He's one of the most prepared characters.
mean.
But man, and the thing about it is, even in all of his deceit, even in all of his manipulation, there is a level of honesty there, you know?
Yeah,
And I think that level of honesty is what really maintains the it seems like he's always in control, right? With
yeah.
every decision that he makes, every manipulation that he does when it comes to Jefferson, when it comes to um, Lynn, like
Hmm.
and so everything is calculated. It even he reminds me of like if Malcolm Merlin didn't have any abilities at all,
Yeah.
didn't wasn't trained by the League of Assassins, and the only thing he could do is use his mind and his bargaining skills and his intellect to get his way. Just also very similar to I know you haven't watched the show, but the character gosh, what is his name? Mr. Gold from Once Upon a Time, Rumpelstiltskin. He's a very powerful character in that universe, but he uses
Mhm.
manipulation, a little bit of honesty, a little bit of deceit, all to kind of make maintain control over just kind of the world that he lives in. And I think the introduction to him in this season is really really helpful towards like setting him up for some of the stuff he starts doing later.
It's not even just that he's mean. Kind of comes off a bit creepy in certain ways, you
Yes,
know? Because
yes.
he sets up cameras and he's watching everyone in every room. So
Mm-hmm.
nobody actually has any privacy, and it's weird because he's essentially watching a teenager in high school.
And the thing
It's
about
really
man, he
weird.
has such he you see a whole lot of that. I think it's
Yeah.
more so in season three. So we'll talk about him more. Let's
Uh-huh.
leave him alone for now. Talk because
Leave him alone for now. Uh-huh.
most of his power moves for me, I think,
Yeah.
are in season three.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, he has a couple in this season. I mean, he's mainly just behind the lines, just being annoying, just showing up, just like, hey, you can't
yeah,
do this. Hey, you can't do that. Hey,
yes.
I'm in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because is he the director of the ASA or is there somebody above him? I can't
I
remember.
think no, 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 no. I believe he's in charge. He's the big guy.
That's what I think. So
He's
I think that too.
big guy. Um. Uh.
Let's
I'm trying to think.
see.
Khalil. I think we should really touch on Khalil.
Yeah,
Because he
this is a
goes through
tough
a
season for
lot.
him.
He
This is
goes
a
through a lot.
yeah. Um, yeah, he
I
does
mean,
go
they
through a lot.
just, he's basically tied to Tobias.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's not gonna let him go anywhere, and he's tough on him.
He really
He's
is.
really tough,
Yep.
and
Is
it's
this?
not even a tough love, really.
It's really not. It's just
No.
it is a relationship where I am literally going to slowly like just beat out of you your own sense of humanity, your own sense of self. I mean, he's essentially like, and I think this is just what Tobias is. I think this is Tobias's number one strength. Which he does have superhuman abilities, but I think his number one strength is his ability to. I mean, he could just break you down psychologically, man. You know, he could just break you down psychologically and
Mm,
get you to move and respond and act. I mean, he's the ultimate intimidation factor. Like he is the ultimate intimidation factor. Like better than Zoom, better than Eobard in a sense. Like he takes the because I always say the mentality comes before the ability. If you don't believe that you can do something, you cannot. And he literally makes you believe I can't go anywhere, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't try this, I can't, and as a result, he has full control over you. It's just tough. And so
yeah, man, it's rough. I mean, he's just bad, man. He's just bad. He's just bad.
I think at this
And,
point in the season, they have already started kind of the programming part, right? Where they
mm,
were like making him do stuff.
making him.
Yeah, weren't they? Or is that
I don't
season
think that's. I'm pretty sure it's
three?
season three. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Um,
I don't know. I'm like you said, it blends together. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he makes him do things by just kind of intimidation. You know? Like he's like, if you don't do this, he knows he's gonna kill him. He knows.
yeah.
He knows he's gonna do
Mm-hmm.
that. He knows he's under his thumb. There is absolutely nothing he can do about it.
Yeah, literally.
Um,
Um,
because he shows up at the 100 club, and he's like, "Hey, you didn't get the money," or something like that. Because he goes easy on him, and then Tobias gets onto him for it,
yeah.
and then
Mm-hmm.
shows up and just kills him. Just walks out, you know, takes the money with him. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
And then of course the biggest moment, I say this is the biggest moment, the biggest and scariest moment in this season. Um and I'm not even sure like what led to this moment. but it was just another fuck up, you know, in the eyes of Tobias.
Tobias.
I think what happens is Khalil just
Oh,
decides.
I remember.
Go
I
ahead.
remember.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you want him to kill the Reverend. He's not going to do it. You know,
Yes.
he's not a murderer. That's not who he is. You know, the Reverend's a good guy. He's known Khalil, you know, and he's
Oh,
like,
actually,
look,
we got to go
man,
back. We got to go back. I think he actually pretends to kill him, doesn't he?
no,
He doesn't like he doesn't say,
no.
"Oh, I'm supposed to kill you, but I'm gonna let you go. Can you leave town?" Doesn't he give him a chance to leave town?
That's what I was getting to.
Okay, I
He's like,
apologize.
look, man, you
I'm
gotta
sorry.
go. You gotta leave town. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm standing my ground, and there's nothing you can do about it. He's like, what are you gonna do? You gonna kill me? He's like, no, I'm not. And that was the last straw, Tobias. And he's like thinking to himself, because he tells him he's not going to, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
not. He doesn't feel doing it, and then they have a fight. He straight up beats him the heck up, and he hits him against a fish tank, and then the fish tank crashes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
man, you broke my fish tank.
Yeah. I mean,
And
Tobias is just a crazy, crazy, crazy dude. And then going back to
cruel.
season one, remember Khalil was originally paralyzed.
Right.
He
Yeah.
had an issue with his spine, and so basically, Tobias had this kind of electronic type, cyborg type spine put in, and that's how Khalil was able to move around and be normal. And
Right.
so, man, unfortunately, and this is one. Honestly, I'm surprised they were able to do this. I'm surprised they were able to
Well,
do this. On,
aren't we jumping forward a little bit?
are we?
Yeah, I think so, because we're missing some big parts before then.
Okay, go ahead.
Um,
Go ahead if I'm missing something.
so at this point, he's on the run. He's trying to get away from Tobias, and the 100, they kind of like corner him, and then Jen shows up and she does the light, and she's like, "Hey, come here." And he finds out they have powers, and they have a little romance moment, and they're like,
Yes.
"Hey,
Yes.
let's run away." And she's
Yes.
like now? She's like, "Yeah." She's like,
Mm-hmm. That's
"Bet,
a
let's
huge
do it."
moment. I'm glad you remembered to bring that up.
And then they make a pit stop, and I kind of felt like he was like, because he's like, I'm gonna get some money that I stashed away. He just shows up in the 100 gang and just starts beating them all up, and they all pull the guns out. And it's a big showdown, a big fight. It's a really cool fight. Like the choreography
Yeah.
is really cool. The music choice, it's actually by the guy who does the Black Lightning theme. Before when it's playing,
Mm-hmm. Worst
it's the
theme
same
ever.
person.
That theme's
Um,
horrible.
Anyway, Jen actually does have to use her powers at one point because there's a sniper there's a guy aiming at Cleo, and she does the light thing, and he just freaking falls off. And they kind of they get out of there. Um, and at this point, her parents are worried, absolutely sick. They are so worried. They're upset, and Black Lightning and Thunder, they go out.
Yeah.
They search for their daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and they're really smart, on the run. Because what's really funny is there's a scene where Black Lightning, it looks like it's Jed and Cleo, and he shows up and he races on the car. They're like, "Oh my god!" He's like, "Whoa, sorry."
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
I really liked that. I
yeah.
enjoyed that dynamic, them trying to run away together. Um, I enjoy. Do you think? I mean, I enjoyed their relationship, but
I
to
thought it was adorable. I
I
loved
thought
it.
it was adorable. I liked it, but I didn't feel like they built enough into it. Um,
Maybe not. I
I
mean, it
don't.
was kind of hard because they were trying to in season one, and then the March events happened,
Yeah,
and everything just kind of it took a break. It took a halt. But also leading up to this, Cleo had been showing up, like trying to talk to her, and she's like, "You kill Black Lightning."
Yeah.
and you hurt all those kids. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I really didn't have a choice.
Let's man,
Um,
I think we have 2 to 3 more big points to try to hit
uh,
here. And so we're running out of time, so let's just try to knock out some of the biggest ones for the
Cutter,
season. Obviously, the one that we haven't actually fully talked about was
the
basically to,
Purdy's,
huh?
the Purdy's.
The Purdy's, but also Tobias killing Khalil.
But that's a little bit further.
Is
Don't
it?
we have some other ground to touch? Yes, because remember Cutter comes in to search and track him down
Ah,
when they're
yes,
on the
yes,
run.
yes, yes.
Yes,
That's true. Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
then I guess we'll skip forward a little bit. There's some moments where Black Lightning and Thunder are kind of on her trail,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of looking for her. She does some things make it kind of obvious, and
Yeah.
the best part is she's literally in the room when they're looking for her. She's in the place where they are, and they still don't find her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're
Yes.
always a one step ahead of them, and it's crazy. Even with Gamby and the drones and everything, they can't find them. They're
Yes.
they're on the move, and they're smart about it. So they go to his aunt's house. He goes to his aunt's house, and they chill there for a while. And he has the dreadlocks, and she's like, "Look, we gotta shave your head." So he shaves his. They give him a haircut so he looks like he did in season one. And
Never
then
made sense for his
he's
hair to
like,
be like that anyway, but whatever. I thought it was always
they
stupid to me. The dreads always looked stupid. It was just I didn't like it, but go ahead.
he's like, "All right, there's time to shave your head." She's like, you're not shaving my head. I will light you up." And there's a lot of scenes where he says something stupid, and she's like, "Look, I can light you up. You better not."
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm. She gets cocky about her powers real quick.
uh um, but anyway, Cutter shows up, and she poisons Cleo because she stabs him
Mm-hmm.
or she cuts him, even though it's kind of like not a big cut
Yeah.
since it was poison. They find that when they're out on the run, and like I said, she goes to get medicine for him. She comes back, and then Cutter shows up again, and then she discovers one of her new powers. Because um, another point we forgot to touch on is the lady who helps her with her powers. Do you
Mm-hmm.
remember? She
Yes.
brought her to that little world of
Yes.
hers,
She takes her into another dimension and
another dimension. Yeah.
somehow she is able to just I guess soothe her in a way and helps her
hmm
kind of keep control of her energy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So she finds out she has a new ability from like herself. She was talking to herself. It was really weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was trippy. But she finds out she has a bit of ability. It's kind of like an X-ray. She can see things, and she sees Cutter. Uh, and they basically, they overcome her. They fight her, and they get away.
Yeah.
And um, there are a couple things I think I'll skip over for time
Mm-hmm.
purposes. So they get to the train where he was hiding out originally,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a romantic moment. And then I think Lynn shows up, and she's like, "I miss you. Come home." And then Cleo's like, "I never wanted this for you. I don't want this for you. You should go home."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they cut back to them coming home, and then she's just on the couch, and it's yay, it's a big happy reunion. Everyone's so happy, and then Khalil shows up, and then Black Lightning, he's like, he jumps at him, they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Yeah.
like, he's like, he tells him he's Black Lightning, he's what? He's like, what? He's like, dude, come on, it's obvious. Um,
Absolutely. Super
but
obvious.
he says he's gonna turn himself in, and he gets to see his mom one last time, and that's kind of an emotional moment because you know him and Henderson get in a fight. He's like, "Look, man, he's wanted. Like he's like, just please, like let him see his mom." He's like, "All right, I'll arrange something." So they get the transport. They're headed, wherever, and then of course, we all saw this coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cutter shows up, and absolutely murders everybody.
Yep.
And when Henderson shows up, he's gone.
Yep.
And I will leave the rest to you. This is where we leave off. They bring him to Tobias, and what happens?
Man, they bring him to Tobias. Tobias. I think in this instance they try to make it seem like, okay, I'll let you go, but you got to give me back what's mine, which is basically the cyborg spine that he gives Khalil. So he all of a
Mhm.
sudden you see him flip Khalil around, grab him, and then boom, just rip out his cybernetic spine. And the unfortunate thing is like you assume, okay, yeah, he probably dies there, but it's not. Like they take him
Mm-mm.
out to like Tobias apparently takes him to like his neighborhood, throws him out in the street, of his neighborhood and just basically leaves him to die there. I think that's
In front of the church, and the
yes.
reverend's like, "Oh my God!" And everyone's just crazy. And also at this point in the show, uh, Tobias is taking on a new prodigy. He's doing the exact same thing to a kid. He's
Mm-hmm.
just a teenager.
Yep.
He doesn't know any better, and he's trying to crack the briefcase, and um, he gets really cocky when Cutter shows up. He's like, "Hey, why weren't you here on time?" She's like, "Boy, you better watch it."
Mm-hmm.
And Tobias is like, "Yeah, hey, chill. I can handle this, okay?" But anyway, uh, as you're saying,
So
Jen's going through a lot too at this point.
yes, it was just a tough, super, just that really was probably the most intense
Hmm.
moment, Khalil's death I've really ever seen in a superhero show like this. Um
That was brutal, man. Like,
and it's and you know how Jen's feeling. So Jen is basically like, okay, well, it's time for me to
get
it's
revenge.
it's time for me to get revenge. But you know, Black Lightning, aka Jefferson Pierce, is kind of trying to lay down the law and say, look, um, this is a no-no. That we don't get to control who lives and who dies because if we do that,
Hmm.
that makes us no different
Than them.
than them. There's actually several different things that go on in
There's
this
one more thing
season that we need to
I
kind of
wanted to
touch
touch on,
on. Um,
if that's possible,
I
if that's okay.
think
Just
I
one
think
more little thing.
there's like four things because there's like some metahumans that break out that they all have to fight, right?
Yeah. There was one more thing I wanted to touch on,
Yeah,
if
so
that's
let's
okay.
touch on that and then let's actually save the literal last little bit of this season and do it just before we talk about season three. Since it all kind of blends together anyway, I think it'll be fine.
Okay. There's one thing I wanted to talk about is the Purdy's.
Mm
So Anissa comes across a girl. She shows up to the hospital. She's pregnant, and she's checking on her, and her boyfriend's like really paranoid. You see him sweating.
hmm. Mm
Like
hmm.
he is drenched, and
Yep.
she's like, "Yo, chill." She's like, "He's just overprotective."
Yeah.
And you find out, he shows up at the hospital, and because he was shot, and he's like, "Take care of her," and he like oozes out some like gray liquid, and
Mm
then
hmm.
you go to another scene, and it shows this woman. I'm trying to think of her name. Let me see. What's her name? Looker. And she
Yeah,
does this
yeah.
thing like where she can like control people. She basically mind controls them, right?
Yes.
She makes them
Yes.
like her her minions, you know.
Yes. Mm hmm.
And he was part of them. And it's kind of a Romeo and Juliet situation.
It really
One
is.
house
It really
is
that's
against
exactly
the
what it
other
is.
house,
Yep.
basically, yeah. And
It,
uh, this is where it really gets interesting. She has a baby, right?
uh-huh.
And then she has another baby, and it's a white baby. And they're like, wait, a white baby? Hold
Yes.
up a second.
Yes.
And what's really messed up is you find out one of the guys that was at the house, Purdy house, or not that. What's the other group? There was the Purdys and the. Do you remember?
I really don't. It was the Purdy's and another group.
Um,
Let's see. I can look. I have my browser up real quick. Keep talking, and I'll get it. Purdy.
Anyway, the guy, uh, I think he liked her maybe, or he was jealous. He killed her boyfriend, which I
Mm-hmm.
don't think they ever have conflict between the girl and that guy, which is interesting that they never touch on that. But anyway,
Yeah.
uh, Looker finds out. She's like, "All right, I killed one of us, so let's go get him." She
Yep.
finds out about the baby too. And she's like, "Okay, all right."
The
Um,
Purdy's and the Sanjay.
the Sanjay, right?
Yep.
Um, who are the Sanjay?
They were just the other group.
The other group is the Sanjay, right? The
Mm-hmm.
the Looker.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, so I had that mixed up. I'm really sorry.
No, no, you're fine.
Um, so I guess we'll skip forward a little bit for time convenience.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of knows. They see the baby. They have metahuman powers, and she can see through them, right?
Yeah.
Like their eyes. So she knows. So she wants them to get the kids. They go on a big thing trying to get the kids out of the city, and then I'm trying to think. The baby gets kidnapped, so Black Lightning shows up, and I love this scene, dude. It's
Yep.
so they capture him, right? And they put him down there, and they start electrocuting. They electrocute him to death, and then he like looks dead, and they're like, "Yeah, thought it can mess with us." He's like, "Thanks for the charge, guys." It's just like
Mm-hmm.
he's
Yep.
made of lightning. You thought it was gonna kill him?
Bunch of
What
idiots.
was funny, right?
And I think that was
He
one of
just
the. I think that was
beats him
one of
down.
the really good moments because Black Lightning
Mm-hmm.
slash Jefferson really didn't hold back in that fight because he's like, kids
Mm-hmm.
are involved, babies are involved, y'all are being
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous with this age long war. No,
Mm-hmm.
and so he just goes all out, and you rarely get to see Jefferson do that. I loved it.
That was crazy. Um, anyway, so he gets the kid, gets it to safety. And I believe Lynn was shows up because she checks on the baby, makes sure everything's okay. Because they're
Mm-hmm.
like in Freeland and they're in a warehouse and he's like, "Hey, Looker's coming. Be on the lookout." And they're like, "Okay, hide." And this fight scene is so cool. The music choice, everything about it is cool. Thunder and Looker have a showdown.
Yep.
Black Lightning fights the other ones,
Yep.
the other Sanjay, and then
Mm-hmm.
she kicks her against like a metal pipe thing. And I don't did it kill her? I don't think it killed her. Did it?
I think. I think it may
I don't know.
have.
May have because you notice after that, all of the Sanjays they kind of just they're like, where am I? What's going on
Yes.
here?
Mm-hmm.
They all just kind of leave. Like okay. um, but anyway, that kind of wraps that up.
Yeah, and I think that
Um,
was one of the last kind of like um that was kind of its own really kind of self-contained storyline there.
that
And
was only like 2 or 3 episodes, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it was a very interesting just kind of subplot that typically you don't get to do with some of those shorter seasons. Now, granted, this is so I think so far this is the longest season amongst the three. I think season three goes back to 13 episodes, whereas this one is 16.
Yeah,
But
16.
sometimes you don't get a lot of opportunities to do those kind of smaller mini arcs. It was good. I would have rather just continued to focus on. I would have rather continued to just kind of focus on some of the main things that were going on in the city and what they were trying to accomplish. But I definitely liked that story and how it set up the family. I think that's really their first real time working together as a team. And I think that was an excellent way to kind of bring about a scenario in which something like that is possible.
Right,
Um,
because that was the first time like Nissa and Thunder were like kind of like on the same page a little bit.
mhm.
And
With of
when
course a help, yeah,
sorry,
with the help of their mom as well. So I loved all of that. Um, as you were saying, it was kind of another recycled Romeo Juliet type of storyline,
yeah,
and I do think it worked well. May have
I
been
do too.
something that they want. I think that would have been better as more of a drawn out, not drawn out arc, but a longer arc. Maybe towards the middle. Maybe towards the beginning. Like start off with something like that. Take 5 or 6 episodes on, and then move on to some of the main stuff that you want to do in the back half of the season. I think it would have worked a little bit better that way. The last big thing for this season is some of
The
these
podcasts.
some of these pod kid metahumans that were actually let out of their pods. But what we're going to do for the sake of time is we're going to talk about that. Since it all bleeds and blends together, we're going to talk about that at the beginning of our review for season
Season
3.
3.
Uh,
There are two big elements we are forgetting.
mhm.
They're two very important characters. Odell brings in Dr. Jace. Remember?
Ah, yes,
Mhm.
yes. Mm-hmm.
And Lynn freaking hates her. She's a criminal. I'm not gonna work with her. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, then you can leave.
And it's
He
just
just really tests her patience, you know?
very much tests her patience.
Mhm.
And I just think that having that dynamic for her and her arc works really well.
Hmm.
So
I liked her
we
arc.
will continue to dive into that as we talk about
Season 3.
Black Lightning season 3. Uh, be
And there's
looking.
one more.
Go ahead.
Wait, are we wrapping up the podcast?
Yeah.
There's still like two big things we gotta get to, brother.
What two big things?
Ooh, Lala comes back. Remember?
He comes back in this season.
Yes. And then he shows up to the school and he locks Jefferson in the room and he shoots him. Remember?
Oh, that is a huge moment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's like, "Who killed my my cousin or my nephew?" And then he comes to realization. He's like, "I killed my nephew."
He's the one. Yep, he's that definitely the one who did it in that moment. That was the kind of because he really Lala wasn't really in that season for most of the season, huh?
No, it was the back
They
half. It
really
was the
did
back
just
half.
kind of
He just
bring
kind of
him
showed
back.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at this point, let's touch on the ending. So
Mm-hmm.
we know Jen's on the warpath. She wants to take out Tobias, and they're like, "We got Tobias." She's like, "Bet." She shows up. She tries to whoop Tobias, and everyone's like, "Who's that?" And Tobias is like, "I don't care." And I think she gets whooped pretty badly.
I thought she walked him.
Sh I can't remember. No, no, no. This is before that. And then she injures Gamby because Gamby like tries to contain her because
Mm-hmm.
she starts screaming in pain. Um, but you find out later Gamby's okay, everything's all right, and they finally get Tobias. They show up, they bust through the window because trying to think, wasn't Lala? Yeah, Lala shows up and tries to kill him at one point, right?
Yes,
And then
yes,
he
exactly.
uses the term, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, that don't work on me no more, and he's like, well, I got a backup, and then
Mm-hmm.
he makes all of his tattoos, because his tattoos when they come back, it's painful. All the
Yes.
people he killed. He's like,
Yes.
you killed a lot of people, so this is gonna be painful for you. And
Mm-hmm.
he kind of laughs. He's just like, all right. But anyway, skip forward, wrap this up. Uh, they walk him. They walk him. She whoops him with Black Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
They whoop him,
Yeah.
and then they lock him away. They at the ASA, Odell. They lock him behind, and he's just like, They put him in a facility, like a thing. There's like what 10 red laser fields. Just he
Yes,
is
yes. He's just
he's
he ain't
locked
getting
away.
out. He ain't getting out.
No.
And
No.
you get the update on him that you get at the top of season 3 is like, okay,
Whoa.
uh he's really locked up.
Dang.
Um
Uh-huh.
because his
Um,
arc is definitely not over at the end of season 2.
mm-mm. So, time to wrap it up. Everyone's at home, they're celebrating, like, yeah, like he's away, everything's great. And then Dale shows up. He's like, oh, what a beautiful family reunion. And everyone's like, what the heck? He's like, oh, I
Mhm.
know who you are. I know who all of you are.
Yep.
And I need your help to stop a greater threat, kind of. And here we go. Set up for season three.
Which is an amazing season. I'm excited to talk about
Mm-hmm.
season 3.
Me
Um
too, man. Me too.
it's going to be great, man.
Oh
It's
yeah.
going to be great being able to discuss
Um.
it. And now, since it's more fresh in our minds, it'll be a lot
Oh
easier and
yeah.
funner to talk about season 3. Definitely.
Um. Real quick. My rating, 10 out of 10. I love this
I'll
season.
give
I
it.
thought it
I
was
Yep. I give it a 10 out of 10.
great.
Also, um, I definitely give it a 10 out of 10. I like I
The
said.
music choice during the fight scenes and the choreography, man.
I
God
think they.
dang, the
Man,
choreography is so good.
honestly, there are some scenes that literally make me feel like I think the choreography might be better than Arrows. Like there are some scenes where I'm like, this might be better than Arrows.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I think what we'll do is we'll try to get back within the next couple of days. Within I think on let's what do you want? You want to try to do this on Sunday?
No, because we gotta do WandaVision.
We're doing WandaVision on Saturday.
Oh, you did say Saturday, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
My bad. Um, did you want to do this next week? Because aren't we supposed to? We were supposed to do Supergirl and Black Lightning season 3 next week, right?
Okay, yeah, let's do that. All right, cool.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
All right,
And
brother.
then next week's episode of WandaVision, obviously.
Exactly. All right, great.
Yeah.
Got a lot of content. We're trying to push out more and more content now. So,
And
uh,
I'm almost caught up on Supergirl. I'm on episode 14, so I'm close to being done with season 2. Very
excellent.
close.
Well, if you
Hmm.
like the video, like it. If you think someone else might like it, share it. And if you want to see more, we really hope that you guys will subscribe. We'll see y'all next time.